Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today, in deck number 502, we're going to talk about Kozilek, the Great Distortion. Now, what was this? Oath. This was the second go-around in Zendikar, although we never, in my opinion, we never went back to Zendikar. We went back to Rise of the Eldrazi. But anyway, it's whatever. For 10 mana, for this 12/12 Eldrazi, when we cast Kozilek, that's an important word. It's a cast trigger. It's not when it comes into play. So we draw back up to 7. It's got Menace. Cool. But you can discard a card with CMC X to counter a spell with the same CMC. So obviously that makes us want to play a wide variety of converted mana cost from 1 to a gajillion. Or actually whatever the most popular removal spells are, because let's face it, he's a 12/12. They're gonna be gunning for Kozilek. So we are actually going to see a lot of cards here today. Being as the deck runs 4 basic lands. Now this is colorless, so colored mana symbols are not legal in this deck. So there are no traditional basic lands. I have 4 waste, but the I guess we're going to proceed through this just like we would a normal deck. First, we will start with the mana. A little bit of mana ramp. We have Scuttlemutt. Now, it is a mana of any color. We can produce mana of any color. So we can choose blue or purple. Well, we can't choose purple. Blue or black. You see what I'm saying. But the sleeves would throw me off. Hedron Crawler. Mannequin. Meteorite. Warden of Geometries, Kozilek's Chandler. Like obviously, we don't have as good a mana dorks as we would if we were in green. We have Pilgrim's Eye to go and fetch us up one of our 4 waste, and Walking Atlas. Now I love that Walking Atlas says land, period, land. So, and then we'll get to card draw. As I said, this is not premium card draw like Farsight Mask. We got to take damage in order to draw a card. But you know what? We're probably taking damage anyway. We might as well get some cards out of the deal. Juniper Ore. Yeah, it works for everybody, but there are times when we're going to need some cards. Seer Sundial. Landfall. Well of Knowledge that has seen better days. Jam Day Tome. I know it's there are a million cards better than Jam Day Tome, but let's face it, we're in colorless completely. Now, Inbringer's a sweet, sweet card. You get to untap it during each other player's untap step. So, and you can spend 2 mana to tap it and draw cards. So, in theory, this is a card drawing machine. Sunstone Oracle. Draw some cards. Now, I'm not exactly certain if I would consider Bag of Holding. Now, I love the bag in many different decks, but this is card selection. I mean, that's what it is. And then, yeah, we can get back some cards. So let's look at some creatures. Now, keep in mind, every card in the deck has a dual purpose. Every card in the deck is what it is, plus a potential counterspell for free. So your Bag of Holding here, you can counter, a path, a sword, Mere Retriever is an awesome card. But let's not forget, Cyclonic Rift, converted mana cost is 2. Even when they overload it, the CMC is 2. But Mere Retriever is a great card to begin with. So it's Signal Pest. It's the Battle Cry alone. Eldrazi Mimic. Hypocrisite. There again, costing 2. There's a lot of 2s and 3s because, Eternal Scourge. Treasure Keeper. Treasure Keeper, let's see. What are 4 mana, 4 CMC cards? All the board wipes. Wrath, Damnation, Day, all of the, well, not all, Scuttling Doom Engine, A 6/6 with some evasion, and it costs 6, so that gets us out of Narset. Uh, Geode Golem. Now, I love Geode Golem because the wording is so beautiful. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may cast your commander from the command zone without paying its mana cost. So it's not a smack into play. You're casting it, so you get to draw up those cards. Psychosis Crawler. I mean, we're drawing a few cards. Hey, why not? Reality Smasher. Midnight. And I think now we're getting into the big boys, you know. Like, well, Sign of Ugin is not incredibly big, but it does fly. I kind of put a value on flying. Hand of Emrakul. Got Annihilator 1. Ulamog's Crusher. Annihilator 2. There's a funny story about Ulamog's Crusher. When they were playtesting Rise of the Eldrazi here, they had come up with this ability, this Annihilator ability, and they were really sure it was good, but people weren't using it. People weren't swinging. And because they didn't want to, you know, lose their giant creature. And so the entire existence of this card is they just printed on the card, it has to attack each turn if able, just to get players to realize how cool Annihilator is. Well, it worked. Bane of Balagad. Eldrazi Devastator. You know, 8/9 trample's not bad. Deceiver of Form. Conduit of Ruin. And I think that's it for creatures per se. We got some, like I said, I put a premium on flying. Kite Sail. Now, I've won many games with Kite Sail. My favorite is that vanilla 9/9 Brontodon thing. Slapped it with a Kite Sail. That was funny. Bladed Pinions. Flying in for a strike. Nurok Hover Sail gives flying. Hedron Matrix, because you know what? We're playing with largish type things. By the way, where X is its converted mana cost, our commander's mana cost is 10, so that puts him up to a 22/22. Yeah, that's a one-hit wonder right there. Bone Horde, because you know what? Things are going to die. And then the Black Blade Reforged. Now, here, let's look at some weirdness. Weird things that I just... Some of these things I just want to play with. Like, well, Voltaic Key is not bad. Untaps an artifact. The Voltaic Servant, kind of same. But let's talk about Time Sifter. Now, what? Commander 19 gave us those... that reverse the turn order card. This is way better than that. So, at the beginning of each player's upkeep, each player removes the top card of it, or exiles the top card of their library. The player that exiled the highest CMC card takes an extra turn after this one. And then during that extra turn, this kicks in during the upkeep. So, there is no given turn order anymore, ever. Each upkeep, you determine who goes next. So, if you're playing, oh man, you know that deck I did a while back, that one CMC deck? Ooh, it's never going to get a turn. Yeah. So, I like Time Sifter. It's just a fun card. Here we're in the fun category now. I'll be honest with you. Soul Conduit, just, you know, swapping life totals. That's fun to me. Cold Storage. Cold Storage is actually a great card. The ability to save your creatures from a board wipe or any other kind of removal. You know, they're gonna spot remove it, or I'll put it on Cold Storage. Weak Stone. Yeah. Now, Retrofitter Foundry. This one, I think this may be the first deck I've put this in. 3 mana to untap it. 2 mana to create a servo. 1 mana sack a servo to get a Thopter. And then sacking a Thopter to get a Construct. Semblance Anvil. Now, obviously, here we want to we want a dual type card. We want artifact creature. That way, our creatures cost 2 less, and our artifacts cost 2 less. Because not all of our creatures are artifacts. You know, some of them are Eldrazi. Mimic Vat. Now, I love the Mimic Vat. Non-token creature dies. You may exile it. You know, imprint it, and you just start making copies of it. Which is really good. Now, you get the copies for 1 turn. You know, that's okay. Transmogrifying Wand, just a splat, a splat stick. The Culling Scales. Now, I like the Culling Scales. We do tend to play with more higher CMC cards. However, that doesn't really matter. Culling Scales itself costs 3. So, at the beginning of your upkeep, you destroy non-land permanent with the lowest converted mana cost among in play. Of course, if there's a tie, you choose. But eventually, if this stays out there long enough, Culling Scales will kill itself. But let's talk about Darksteel Garrison. Now, Future Sight, all of those future shifted cards, like I said before, they wrote a bunch of checks they never have to cash if they don't want to. But I love the fortification thing. Now, what fortifications are, just to simplify it, this is equipment for lands. That's exactly what it is. So it's an artifact, you throw it out there, you fortify it for 3. Fortified land is indestructible, and whenever it becomes tapped, target creature gets +1/+1 to end of turn. Now, I like this. I like this a whole lot. I've been looking for the perfect deck to take advantage of the Darksteel Garrison, because essentially, you've got 5 mana invested in making a land indestructible. So it better be well worth your 5 mana. 2 to cast, 3 to fortify. Well, it is. Field of the Dead is a great card. We know that. But colorless decks, for years, before we got the actual basic waste, colorless decks were very difficult to do because you had to use all non-basic lands. Yes, Blood Moon is going to shut this deck down. But before we get to that, let's look at our removal. I just wanted to show you why the Darksteel Garrison was in there. So we have got, Gruesome Slaughter. Now, yeah, it only deals with target creature, but that's fine. Universal Solvent. Titan's Presence. Scour from Existence. Spatial Contortion is a great. Warping Whale. Counter target sorcery spell. In colorless? Okay. Assault Suit I am counting as removal simply because, it deals with a creature where it ain't a problem to you. Unstable Obelisk. Brittle Effigy. Meteor Golem, all removal. So we're going to try to push some of the air out because I've got 30-something lands to show y'all. And I don't know if they're all going to fit in that box that way. So, here we go. Most of these are just because they are colorless lands. Now, the beautiful part is the utility that you get out of having, crazy amounts of lands. Like the Cryptic Caves here could draw you a card. Spawning Bed's going to get you some tokens. Stalking Stones turns into a creature. Gargoyle Castle gets you a flyer. Seagate Wreckage, drawing. Phyrexia's Core, gaining a life. Desert. I mean, it's desert. Granted, now 1/1s are not, they don't really dominate our format, but it's still a good card. Sequestered Stash, getting an artifact. Haunted Fingraph, creature back. Darksteel Citadel, Emergence Zone, Rogue's Passage. That seems good with a 12/12 commander, doesn't it? Cloud Post and Glimmer Post, just in case. Shrine of the Forsaken Gods. The problem with the double sleeving in a deck that hadn't spent a lot of time actually in the deck box is it still got a lot of the air in there. Dunes of the Dead. Hey, we'll make another zombie, right? Ruins of War and Reef. This is not bad in a solid colorless deck. Sanctum of Ugin. Of course, we have our Urzatron lands. Urza's Mine, Urza's Power Plant, Urza's Tower. I'm going to have to take some of these out and go ahead and throw them in the box. Zoetic Cavern, Forge of Heroes. Yeah, I don't have a problem making him 13/13. Dread Statuary, Quicksand, Blinkmoth Well, Drownyard Temple, Crystal Vein, giving us that bump if we need it. Mishra's Factory, Shimmering Grotto, Zalfir and Void. There's just like no reason not to run that, you know, the Freeze Cry, and Nephilia Academy. So that is Kozilek. All of the non-basics there, kind of essential for the Field of the Dead plan. Now, what is it? XMAP. That would be great for finding the Field of the Dead. I just don't have another copy at this time, and I feel like there's not going to be as many complaints at the table if you come by it naturally than as opposed to this is what I do every game. You know what I'm saying? But that is Kozilek. I do appreciate y'all watching, and can we gotta probably to move our camera over some now so we can see that next block. Number 502. Bubble in the thing there. Done. But I do appreciate y'all watching, and y'all let me know what you think. But right now, I think, my mouse is too far away. It's a wireless mouse, so there we go. Right now, it is time to shuffle and cut.